Okay, I think we'll get started. So good morning, everyone. I'm Roberta Mancuso. I am the Associate Publisher of New England Home Connecticut Magazine, and I would like to welcome you to today's discussion on innovations in outdoor living. I would like to thank our stellar panel of speakers today for sharing their knowledge and talent with us. Because we have so much to cover, and it's going to be so inspirational that I'm going to immediately turn this over to our editor-in-chief for all of New England Home, Jenna Talbott, and she'll be today's moderator. Prepare to be inspired. Take it away, Jenna.
Thank you, Roberta, and thank you to all of our panelists and all of you for joining us today. My name is Jenna Talbott, and I am the editor-in-chief of New England Home Connecticut and New England Home, as Roberta said. And I'm also very excited to share an inspiring and informative program for you today. We've called upon 7 design experts to talk about the latest ideas and innovations in luxury outdoor living. In addition to beautiful images, we'll get the dirt, so to speak, on trends, timelines, and the latest in materials and furnishings, to the best in outdoor appliances and audiovisual enhancements, and what and where to grow. So I know you'll have questions and comments as we go. So please feel free to use the chat feature. I'll be watching and will field as many questions as I can as we go. And I expect and hope that we'll have time at the end of the hour to answer a few live. So let's get started. Our first panelist is Eva Chiamulera of Austin Ganim Landscape. Eva is sharing some wonderfully lush outdoor spaces with us, and we'll talk a little about trends from last year that she's predicting will carry into our upcoming season and much more. So take it away, Eva.
Good morning. And I think the biggest trend that we saw last year was creating a sense of privacy, whether it was a sense of privacy from your neighbors or from your own family members that you were spending so much quality time with. And we've also seen an uptick in a lot of things regarding native plantings and creating habitat for a lot of the butterfly populations. And a lot of people are into watching birds again, as we're all spending a lot of time at home, outdoors, and alone. If we could go to the next slide, please. The first project that we're going to look at, this is a beachfront property in which we've used some native grasses called switchgrasses to give us a sense of privacy from the adjacent beach, which you can see the lounge chairs from right behind us. But we've also created a space that's used many times of the day, and you'll see that we want to have kind of a series of outdoor rooms now where you can have some separation from other family members, but since we're at home and entertaining ourselves a lot, we needed some different types of spaces, and we've seen an uptick in requests for fire pits and outdoor fireplaces. This particular garden also has some gas torches along with the gas fire pit, and some lighting for the evening, which we've seen a lot more requests for lighting in the last year as well. And a lot to do with the natural feel and texture. This is a sandstone patio, which we haven't seen a lot of sandstone here in Connecticut in recent years, but we've seen an increase in requests for it. It's a little cooler than the bluestone, and there's some different materials out there that we'll see as we go through the photos. And if we could go to the next one. Oops, the next image there is going to show when I mentioned that we've seen an uptick in interest in the environment and butterfly gardens and pollinators, just for general well-being. There's a couple different ways this can be treated, where we can have more of a meadow-like garden like you see in this garden, where it's a repetition of kind of big, bold color statements and native plantings. It can be a little bit of a busy look for some people. And there are other ways we'll see in a later project where we can have pollinator attracting plants that'll bring you butterflies and songbirds to your home, but might be in a little bit more organized manner that's more appropriate for some people over others. You'll also see in this garden there's a big hedge that goes down the side yard there that you can't see the busy road that's adjacent to it. So again, that sense of creating a privacy and a lush environment at home. If we could go to the next slide. This is a little bit more controlled atmosphere for a pollinator garden. And this one, we've arranged the plantings in a linear pattern. And we've also got some grasses to produce seed heads. A lot of times we'll use berries and the seed heads in there to give us some food for the birds in the winter time as well. Another thing that this project shows is a sense of creating different areas for activities. Now that we're home a lot with the kids, we need to have some things to entertain when. This garden happens to be on the upper left. There's a little putting green that's right off the pool area. So when some of the kids get bored with swimming, there's another activity right nearby that they can transition to. And if we can go to the next slide. Another thing that we've seen an increased interest in is container gardening. Just to add another touch of luxury to the garden, you'll see in these containers we've used banana plants, although they're tropical. They do give a very lush kind of home luxury garden oasis feel to the place. And when we talk about, you know, an increase in pools as well and another activity for the kids, this garden shows how we're seeing an increase in pools of all sizes, not just your standard, you know, 20 by 40 pool that we've seen for years, but also smaller, more petite pools that might fit a smaller environment. In the case of this pool, we've got some extra features such as swim jets that for exercise that you can swim against. It also has fountains that come out of the feature wall. So when the adults are entertaining at night, it's a very lush environment. And if we could go to the next slide after that. In this particular project, we kind of combine all the elements that I've mentioned. There's a series of garden rooms that are connected here. We've got right off the house, there's a barbecue and outdoor living area that transitions to another terrace, and then you step down into a pool area. And in this case, we've used the plantings in a different manner where they're very linear. So although we do attract a fair amount of pollinators and butterflies to this garden, the plantings are a little bit more controlled. It's a monochromatic palette, so it can be very relaxing because we've got those lush blues and purples and whites in this garden. So it's very kind of soft and settling atmosphere. And you'll also see in the shot that we've got a fire pit that's off on the side. This one's a little bit unconventional. You'll see that they've got a gas fire rock, which is out of a big piece of marble. And then we've got on the side closest to us, sorry about the phone, the side closest to us, we've got, you know, a lounge area and I'll get rid of that, a lounge area off on the side there. And so we've also got a lot of screening from an adjacent road on the far end. And it kind of combines all the different features, you know, that we've seen a lot of. So we're going to see a lot of privacy screening, whether it's between rooms outside or if it is, you know, between the neighbors, an uptick in the number of places that we're looking to have different types of activities, whether they're putting greens or little table tennis areas or just lawn panels for the children to play on, and adult and kid spaces. And the overall, you know, thing is that we want to create inviting spaces where you can really feel relaxed and escape that work that has now followed you home. And get away from everything. So it's your own little staycation and garden oasis. And again, in here, we're going to see these a little bit more modern materials. And I think we're going to touch base a little bit later on. This is all stone from Gault in this shot. And I believe he's going to follow me in speaking, and we'll talk about some issues with materials this year.
Great. Thank you, Eva. I just wanted to say, I just love the different shades of green, and maybe it's the time of day this particular photo was taken. This is beautiful. We did have one quick question in the chat, and I encourage all of our panelists, if you're comfortable, to look at the chat after you've given your presentation, and maybe you can answer some of these questions yourself. But we have a question about the first image. Do you know who made the torches, and is that something you can share with us?
I don't know off the top of my head who made the torches. I do know that I believe they came out of the West Coast, but I could find that out if we can get their contact information.
Okay, great. We'll maybe pop over to the chat and see if you can connect with this, with our attendee. Okay, great. And so you did mention Gault Stone, and we have Stu here from Gault Stone, who is going to talk a little bit about materials and realistic timelines and what sort of supply sort of disruption we might have had over the pandemic and where things are at looking forward. So welcome, Stu.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. We have to say here in Gault that we were lucky to be able to be involved with so many projects that involved exteriors. With the pandemic, everything went outside, and like we're showing in these pictures here in the background, imported granites with local veneers. Is like this family had a crystal ball to the future, and they were already planning for this pandemic. What we're seeing with the pandemic is that there's a lot of products that become really short to be able to get them. So this year we're preparing to avoid longer lead times by pushing for local products. We are specializing in local granites, trying to explore and push for the buy local, buy American again, because we want to be able to make those lead times short. Everyone wants to go right into the summer, tired of being in winter inside, and they want to have their pools ready. And we are working with great designers like Chuck, like Eva, that they know the customers really well. Also, if we go to the next slide, we see a big trend with fire pits, and we were really short-handed. We had a lot of customers that were not able to get their hands on these products. So a lot of these products are imported. So we solved that issue by creating our own line of fire pits, stuff that we are doing in our own shop. We have a sculptor actually working on these metal ones, and it's something that we're gonna be offered. They're gonna be able to be customized as customer needs, and it's just something that the lead time is a couple of days away. Also, when we go to the next slide, we have a lot of customers that are coming into this area from the city. They haven't had the opportunity to have big outdoor spaces like we are doing now here in Fairfield County. And one of the first things that I asked them is like, do you guys like to entertain? Do you like, like to be outside and don't worry about it? And one of the products that give us the flexibility of entertaining, especially around pools, stay cool. Families that have been raised here in Fairfield County know how hot certain stones that we provide that have been traditional for this area. How can they be so hot? Now we are providing solutions like with outdoor porcelain. Porcelains are really efficient. They stay cool. They don't stain. They can take the weather really well. If we go to the next slide. It's also low maintenance is a key. We were lucky to have this project done a few years ago, and we were able to go back this past season to take some pictures, and the patio still looks like the same day that when it was installed originally. So this is one of the great advantages of working with a porcelain, especially because it's another product that is made in the U.S. We can have it here. We can have it here really quick. Not really lead time, so we didn't experience any shortage of this product during this pandemic. And if we go to the next slide. So this is what we are all achieving. This is the goal, to be able to provide a combination of great materials, working with great designers. We really offer a lot of services, and even including providing energy for those fire pits. We have a sister company that provides propane. So in this pandemic, me being one of the lucky COVID survivors, when we are in a quarantine, you don't want people coming, you don't want to share with people, you don't want to be exposed. And this is a perfect solution where you don't have to have anyone come to you. Everything gets done with proper distancing. And thank you.
Oh, thank you, Stu. Now, I think that porcelain stone is really interesting. And we do have a question that just came up. Joanne asked, what kind of base has to go under porcelain
So
stone.
the great thing with porcelain is designed to take either an aggregate base or a concrete base. It's super strong, so it can go. It has the flexibility to be installed in both kind of applications with a concrete base or a stone dust base.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. There's a lot to explore there. So let's see, we're going to hear from Fred Albano of Albano Appliance and Service. Fred will talk to us about how our outdoor spaces have evolved over the past 10 years in regards to appliances and outdoor kitchens. And I think he has some really interesting things to share about how we're all viewing these spaces and how we use them now. So Fred, take it away.
All righty. So if we take a look at the first slide. This is a job, very nice job we did, I'm going to say about 10 years ago. And it's a pretty traditional setup, kind of geared mostly towards one person cooking, and very, very functional. But these are stainless steel inserts into stone with a heavy bluestone top. So you'll see things like way to the right, there's trash. You have the grill, of course. You have some drawer storage, an extra set of burners, and then a refrigerator. If we could go to the next slide. So here, this is a shameless plug of our showroom, but this here we're going to more natural colors. This is a teak wood, and we're seeing things like wood, things like powder coats and colors, and the cabinetry is something that could be used independently, like you see in this photo, or it is something that is inserted into stone. To the right there is a pizza oven. The industry right now, I think, is up over 400%, according to one of our distributors in the pizza business. So what we're starting to see is more than one cook, and families kind of getting involved. We could pop to the next one. And you could put an outdoor kitchen anywhere. This is down in Soho. We did a rooftop. These folks were really gearing it towards entertaining. So you can certainly see the trend here with the bar seating. Behind that bar is refrigeration. There's dishwashers, cabinetry, multiple refrigeration we're doing. We're doing refrigeration just for wine storage. We're doing refrigeration for food products, drawers. And this here, we're showing a nice little waterfall counter as an architectural detail that you see inside the house. We're seeing these things happen on the outside of the house. And next slide. This is another rooftop in Midtown. And here we have a blend of stainless steel and a powder coat. So the curved part is a powder coat application, and the base cabinets were stainless steel. If you are thinking about something on a rooftop, logistics are always a challenge. Some of these jobs we have to get stuff craned in, plumbing coming up through the roof or gas lines coming up the roof present their challenges, along with even that TV screen, which they had to weld framing to the rooftop to make sure it doesn't blow off. So, but here you're just kind of seeing more of like a kitchen. This job's a little older, so you do see it kind of geared, again, maybe to 1 or 2 people cooking. Next slide. This is a nice little outdoor kitchen, 2 freestanding islands, and we're definitely seeing a trend on 2 sections there that allow traffic to flow. So what we start thinking about with this kitchen is it actually being a kitchen? Like there'll be a place for cocktails, there'll be a place for cooking. You think about the flow of the crowd for the evening. Do you start one section having some beverages? You have the team cooking. I always try to encourage people to leave space. Same rules apply like an indoor kitchen. You want 4 feet between an island and a cooking area. You want to make sure that you have room for people who are cooking and using hot and sharp things, that they have room to work. And if people come and want to talk, give them space to stand. Very important in my mind, because you know, I'd say you always try to build it for the crowd, for the cook there, because you know, everybody else is the mooch. So you want to make sure that the cook is happy and that the people are safe. And is there another one, or I think that's it?
Is that it? Oh, I think that's great advice. I mean, entertaining in a kitchen, we have to think about safety too. We did have one, I think, very practical question, which is, can you talk about the appropriate way to protect outdoor appliances that are fully exposed to weather?
Very important. First off, if you're by the water, and of course, these are the things 10 years ago you learned the hard way, things like to rust. So the manufacturers have actually gotten a little smarter as well by doing things that start with a base of 316 stainless steel. So most everything is 304 stainless. 316 is marine grade. So even if you have it powder coated, you'd want to start with a 316 base. Regarding stainless steel, you always want to clean it with an oil-based cleaner. The metal likes the oils because some stainless cleaners are water-based, so you want to be wary of that. And then the big thing with outdoor refrigerators is, you know, that last nice warm day in the fall, clean it with a water and bleach solution, you know, spray it in there and keep the door open to clean it and let it dry thoroughly before you close it for the winter so you don't get mold. So
great. It does require some care, and it's worth it. So excellent. Well, thank you so much, Fred.
Sure thing.
Well, so we've spent a little bit of time talking about bringing the inside out of doors, and now we're going to talk to Chuck Hilton of Charles Hilton Architects to look at bringing the outdoors in, and then probably back outside again too. So Chuck, welcome. Thank you.
Exactly. Thanks, Jenna. Yeah, so I mean, we're the indoor-outdoor living trend was something that was very prominent before the pandemic, and now even more so after we've all spent a year in and around our houses. And so, you know, we're getting calls for both indoor projects and outdoor projects that expand people's enjoyment of their environment. So if we go to the first slide, the first theme I wanted to touch on was the idea of using just decoration to create an outdoor environment inside the house. I don't see the slide yet. Can you guys see it? There we go. Okay, so you know, here we're just using purely decorative techniques to create the illusion of an outdoor space that can be enjoyed year round. On the left, we have a garden or sunroom. The owner had asked, he has beautiful ornamental gardens, but can't enjoy them year round. So he asked for a room inside the house where he felt like he was in his garden year round, especially on a day like today. We did a lattice work paneling around the entire room. And this trompe-l'oeil effect around the fountain, used a Venetian plaster on the ceiling to create some dabbling of light like you would outside, and a stone floor, something I'm sure that a Gault could provide, with an inlay of a mosaic with a floral theme going around the room. On the right is a project we just completed with Miles Red. This was a renovation project, and the room had this vaulted ceiling. Miles came up with this clever idea of a tent motif, and the room's lit on 3 sides, and you feel like you're out in a garden tent year round. Can I have the next slide, please? The next thing I would just want to touch on is fully glazed rooms. I have 2 projects here. One is a breakfast room, conservatory, and the other is being used as a home office. The advances in glazing technology, good thermal protection, good tight windows that don't have drafts, things like dedicated heating and cooling systems for these rooms because they have greater exposure to heat loss and heat gain, and good sun control, which I'm sure Bill will touch on later, and has great automation for both window shades and over top are all technologies that make these kind of spaces possible and enjoyable, and you can really feel like you're out in your garden year round. Next one, please. The next is kind of a common thing, is creating outdoor rooms themselves. And these can range from outdoor porches that have coverings to protect from rain and sun. On the right is a round porch on a waterfront project we did in Riverside. Our interiors department did the furnishings inside and out on the house. And we have this great fireplace to extend the season and enjoy the porch at least 3 seasons of the year. On the top left is an outdoor dining area underneath a covered pergola off a dining room. And we have lighting kind of hidden for nighttime use there. And on the bottom left is a pool pavilion in teak and cedar that sits along poolside. So creating these rooms that are kind of extensions of the house into the landscape and start to enjoy the outdoors. Next, please. And the next is full outdoor pavilions. And I mean, these can take the form of pool houses or garden pavilions that function for outdoor entertaining. On the top left, you see a pool house that has bath changing, bar, seating area adjacent to an outdoor pavilion that's used for entertaining and sitting. This done with Ed Hollander's office and Forehand and Lake with the furnishings on the terrace. Top right is another view of that teak and cedar pavilion that sits alongside the pool. Bottom left is a lakeside pavilion. It's structured very much like any pool house would be, with a kitchenette and bath and changing, a bath and storage, but it sits on a lakefront and enjoys the gardens and the view. And the bottom right is a pool house, again, kitchen, bath, changing. And one of Fred's beautiful kitchens is out behind the lattice work. Behind the screening here has a full kitchen and pizza oven, and then you have this great covered porch poolside for entertaining. And the final slide, please. And the last theme I just want to touch on is nighttime entertaining and kind of extending the day into the evening and creating beautiful night environments using lighting. LED lighting has made this possible because it's small, really easy to conceal, and last a long time, and you don't have to change light bulbs like in the old days. So on the top left is a full house. There's a rooftop balcony at the very top, ground floor level rooms that flow out with doors onto the terraces that are defined with beautiful lighting. And then moving to the ground level, extending out into the landscape and drawing people in so that the whole property can be used at night. Below that is that pool pavilion that you saw earlier during the day. And here we took the columns, and if you look closely, top and bottom of the columns are cut out, CNC cut with well lights, and the whole columns kind of glow at night and create really a special environment for a poolside entertaining. And then on the right, a small outbuilding on a terrace and landscape designed by Renee Byers. We did this fireplace and create this fireside entertainment space. So, I mean, as architects, we're kind of the hub of so many of these things and have the pleasure of working with so many of these great professionals and really try to integrate them into one very special indoor-outdoor living space, and enjoy doing it.
Oh, it's just beautiful. And the lighting in particular and extending the day into evening, I think that absolutely requires such consideration. And so artfully done here. Thank you, Chuck. We had a couple questions on details on some of your outdoor in spaces, if you wouldn't mind taking them right now. One question was the lattice made custom for the space in that room we saw earlier? And then glazed ceilings, if you could explain technique briefly.
Sure. The lattice we designed it, and that was done on a CNC machine. So they took a sheet of MDF and cut it out to the pattern that we created. And the ceiling was a Venetian plaster. And so that's a series of layers of colored plaster and then waxes that really creates a depth and texture to the ceiling and really creates a nice dappling effect here on the ceiling, but we often use it on walls as well.
Great. Beautiful, just beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Chuck.
Thanks.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about extending that day. We talk about extending the season. I want to talk about jump-starting the season. I'm ready to sit outside. And Stephen Elton, the Chief Brand Curator of Brown Jordan, is going to share with us some new lines from Brown Jordan that will help us get out there sooner. So Stephen, welcome.
Thank you, Jenna. First, I'd like to thank everybody, you and everybody in New England Home for including us. This is great, and we're happy to be part of. Real quick about Brown Jordan, just so everybody gets a good understanding of it. For the last 75 years, you know, we built our brand as a contemporary, innovative, design-centric furnishings for indoors and out, and you'll see that as a consistent theme all throughout the presentations. We're the same. It's our furniture for indoors and out. So let's go to the first slide. So this is our Oscar collection. It's been in existence for about 2 years, designed by Anne Varing, LA-based designer. We work with the world's leading furniture designers. And what's great about this, and what you'll see a theme throughout, is what Brown Jordan does a little bit different is we set the trends. The reputation for the organization and for our brand is to set the trends. So the trends right now as it relates to outdoor furnishings are eclectic materials. So you see in this particular collection, we use our extruded aluminum, and we developed an acrylic rope that we brought in from Italy. Acrylic being the greatest material for outdoor because it doesn't fade, it doesn't mildew. It's just a great product for outdoor use. And in this instance, instead of a seating surface, we're using it as a design element. So it really it shows you the eclectic nature and mixing the materials. And then we top it off with a ceramic that we also found in Italy that comes in a few different colors for all the different tables that we offer in the collection. What's great about this collection when you get to the dining part of it is we go from 4 and we can sit as many as 12 because we've developed a process in the sizing of the tables using a panel construction that gives us an ability to really open it up as far as how many people that we can sit. So next slide, please. So this is our newest collection. It's called the H collection with a Milan-based designer from Italy, Tuan Nigan. And what's great about this collection is it's again using the extruded aluminum, but also using a rope that we developed. It's an exaggerated size. It's a larger size as a design element, not a seating surface. But if you look at it, you can see it really gives you a unique perspective, and it really shows using eclectic materials. Brown Jordan uses only the best, and it has a custom design as far as fabrics are concerned. We use all acrylic again, so it holds up great as far as fading is concerned, as far as maintenance is concerned. So you'll see some of the curated selections in this particular collection that we did with the H collection. Let's move to the next slide, please. One of the other trends that's out, not only on outdoor furniture, but even when you move in, especially when you extend the outdoor room and all the entertaining and all the different things that you do, is SKU flexibility. And this collection, 2020 by Richard Fernier, who was another California-based designer, shows that in every way possible. It shows it in the mixing of materials. So you have an aluminum frame, you have the synthetic woven that comes in a few different colors, sheltered design as far as the sofa and the chairs are concerned. The tables are using a ceramic, and there's tables that are built in to the collection that have an accelerated age teak that we do that makes it look like it's been out there and aged gracefully. So what's great about this collection is just with a few different pieces, we never have to say no. There's so many things that you can do as far as the configurations that you can make. and the things that you can do with this because of the SKU flexibility. And it really shows the eclectic nature of what is a trend by far right now as it relates to outdoor furniture. It's showing all the different mixing of the materials. So this collection's been great for us. Next slide, please. This shows, we have this, our DAP tables. So we developed a table collection that goes across all of the different collections that we offer for a few different reasons. Number one, it gives us an ability to have a few different top options. So this one that you see here in the photo is teak that we stain. So we like to call it organic aging. So it gets to what teak looks like naturally over time, which is that sort of park bench, silvery gray color. We also offer it in a synthetic stone Decton brand. That's great because it's pretty much indestructible. By using the construction way that we do it, this particular table sits 4, but as I said before, we can get as many as 12. So it's not just the seating, but it's all the other pieces that we put in with the collections that you can use in an eclectic nature. Next slide, please. So this is our last slide. You've seen in some of the other presentations that outdoor fire is a real category, and it really enhances outdoor living. So we looked at it a little bit differently, and we wanted to develop what we call fire tables. So as you look at this, it's got a little bit bigger surface. So we wanted to use it for the elements of the fire, for the warmth of the fire, but we also wanted where you could, put drinks on it, and it could be a functional piece to use. You could eat from it. We wanted to just expand it a little bit and have it go where it works within our furnishings, but also works as a standalone. What's great about this particular category for us is you can hook it up directly to a direct gas line, but it also uses a horizontal flat propane tank that's really creatively hidden with a really cool, unique opening system that you don't really see, but it makes it more mobile. So if you want to change your configuration outside longer term, you're able to do that. We've curated in a couple different colors, a light dark combination. We've even gone as far as the fire media. We struggled when we first developed this, what fire media looked like, because it's really not attractive, it's just functional. So we developed what we call a river rock, which is a large pebble type look as it relates to the fire media. So it's really an elevated fire table that really enhances the outdoor living and eclectically works with our furnishings or without. So I think that was the last slide. Thank you so much.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I think the fire is ultimate in extending the season on either side. So that's really exciting to see from Brown Jordan. I have a couple questions that came in, and to all of our panelists, take a look at the Q&A box. There's a couple questions in there from past presenters. And then Emily, we heard that chat might be disabled. I don't know if anyone can look into that too. I can see chats coming in, but we did get a message from an attendee that they weren't able to chat. But Stephen, for you, a couple trade questions. What is the lead time for a typical Brown Jordan residential order? Is that something you can speak to?
I can speak to that, yes. So we've worked really hard on that. It's been challenging with all of the supply chain issues. But right now we're at 8 to 9 weeks as it relates to our lead times. There's maybe an isolated instance here and there as it relates to a material, but we're at 8 to 9 weeks right now.
Okay.
With our lead time.
And to the trade?
To everyone, to all of the different segments of distribution, but yes, to the trade. The trade is, the trade is how we started as a brand, and we're very loyal to the trade.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. Oh, it looks like chat is back up. any of you are itching to chat, I'll be watching the window again and then take a look at the Q&A panel. We have 2 more presenters left. Next, we're going to hear from Bill Charney, owner of Advanced Home Audio. Now that we have a great place to sit, can we watch that game in surround sound, all that too, music too. So Bill, I'll let you take it away from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We're going to talk, we've been really busy with the pandemic supporting our clients. We're a full service technology company. And as you can imagine, with the enhancement in the home, just something as simple as Wi-Fi has really become, really important to families in home and school environments. We saw a big trend in outdoor outdoor spaces last summer, and we're seeing obviously an even larger demand for them this year. And I want to show you a couple of projects. If you go on to the next slide, we've seen just a really big surge in technologies and manufacturers making some really neat products that just enhance the lifestyle. So this is a Westport project that we did a few years back. Beautiful outdoor patio covered terrace space off the family room and kitchen areas. We've got lighting, we've music, we have all kinds of technology. And one of the things I always mention is that if we do our job correctly, a lot of times you can't see the technology, aside from the TV, of course, over the fireplace, but a lot of the rest of it is very hidden in the space. So this just gives families the ability to really extend their living outdoors. So go ahead, next slide. This was a really cool space that we designed and built with the team last summer out in the Riverside area. And there's so much to talk about here in this space, but again, a lot of the things you don't see. If you look very closely, we had to very carefully install sound system to cover this entire outdoor space, but make it very seamless into into the stonework and into the planting beds and so forth. So some of the things that this family can take advantage of is really great Wi-Fi and connectivity out on the patio area. And in the very far background, you see a really large 86-inch outdoor TV. Yes, it's fully waterproof and is designed to stay outside all year long. We find that clients that the outdoor TVs really get the family staying into the evening and even beyond dinner time. So it winds up really extending the space and the usage of that space in the spring and summer months. It can be on for background. So the other thing that you don't really see is all of the technologies here in the space the family can control right from an app on their smartphone. So with a push of a button, we can adjust the temperature of the hot tub, we can turn on the bubbles, we can adjust the pool, we can control all the lighting and shading that you see on the windows. And I'll talk to you a bit more about that on the next few slides. Go ahead and advance it. This was a great project in Greenwich, a very modern space. And what you notice right off the bat is just so much glass on the surfaces of the home, which kind of takes the outside, invites it in. The other thing you notice is this photo was taken at dusk. And I really want to point out how important landscape lighting and lighting control is to a space like this, because there's so many lights and a simple touch of a button, or what we do a lot for clients is set these up on timers. So as soon as the sun comes down, the appropriate lighting comes on in the space. It's kind of interesting because without that exterior lighting, looking through a piece of glass at night, you just see dark, it's black. So adding landscape lighting and some of these really neat LED technologies Chuck and others have mentioned, we can really accentuate the space and creates this very vast depth in the property. So now looking out the kitchen or family room window, you can see all the way into the depths of the yard and the property, just really add some enjoyment and warmth that we all need being confined for so many months. And I'll also point out on the left of this image is a pool house, and you'll see you see obviously the pool and the spa. We have a beautiful sound system embedded into the roof line of that structure. Again, just really creative products that allow allow some music to be played, but don't take away from the decor of the space. Go ahead, next slide. This is not an outdoor space. It's actually a family room, but I wanted to show it just to give you a sense of that glass panel to the left, the window. It's actually a doorway that slides open, and you can see the pool and spa in the distance, in the background. So having that illumination in the evening is really a beautiful way to invite folks in and out of the home. I also want to point out in the distance, I mean, this is a family room, so we have an entertainment system in this space. But if you look past the kitchen breakfast area in the back of the photo, you'll see a solar shade. And shading has become really important in a lot of aspects. Convenience, when that solar shade is lowered, it also reduces the sun's glare and energy, protecting UV, preventing UV from damaging the beautiful finishes and interiors and furniture that are in the space. The other thing you'll notice, you can see through the solar shade. So we designed the shading system to allow just enough light through so you can still enjoy the view and still appreciate that outdoor space, but still give you some privacy and protection of the interiors. And that shade raises and lowers based on the time of day. It's all automated. It's a motorized treatment. Next slide, please. And this is the last space I'm sharing with you guys today, but it's a really great outdoor structure. And a few of the things I'd like to point out here is the surrounding space. This is a screen porch. And if you look at you can see the pool off to the right in the background. And we have large motorized insect screens that raise and lower. So during the daytime hours, the screens are up. You don't even know they're there. They're kind of hidden away. And then in the evening, when the bugs come out, with the press of a button, that wall of screens comes down, and again further expands the use of the space, and lets you stay out there in the evening without the annoyance of the bugs in the evening. Especially important even in the waterfront properties. You also see a perimeter of heaters inside this space. We're controlling those again from an app. You can raise and lower the screens. You can adjust the lights, get just the right mood and setting, watch TV, your favorite sitcom or movie, and also control the temperature, in that space. All done very seamlessly, and simple to use for everyone in the family. Thank you very much. I think that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Bill. Well, I'm glad you answered that question about keeping the bugs away at night. I think that the idea of having screens that close in the evening is particularly handy. I did have another interesting question. With all this Wi-Fi use outside, are you finding any issues with security, or some clients who are skeptical to being that wired and people using their Wi-Fi?
Everything we do in terms of Wi-Fi in the outdoor space is encrypted, which basically means the family has passwords and is very secure.
Okay.
And the other layer of complement of security is, it's very typical to have cameras, especially with kids and little ones around a pool area, and we can very simply give the parents a text message if someone's motions detected in the backyard, for example, around the pool area. So there is a nice security element there as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, so for our last presenter, and this has been wonderful. Thank you to all our attendees and panelists. We have John Carlson, the owner and manager of Homefront Farmers. And believe it or not, we're talking about vegetable gardens. There have been, and there are innovations in having your own vegetables grown right on your property. So John has some wonderful photos and advice for all of us today. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jenna. Yes, I will be the first to admit that vegetable gardens themselves are not an innovation in outdoor living, but we have brought a few innovations to the business. Specifically, and we can go to the next slide, there are really three things. I would say, first of all, that we provide a service for people, a professional service. 10 years ago, when you'd go online, you'd find 1,000 websites that would tell you why you should grow your own food and even how to do it or what you should grow. But there was really no one saying, we will help you to do that. So we provided a service, and I would say the second innovation is that we've really brought a professionalism to the area, to the field. And finally, that we are very much specialized. I joke with clients sometimes that if you can't eat it, I don't know how to grow it. But it's really about edible landscaping and, of course, the pollinators and things that are required to bring in the right insects. So I think if we move to the next slide, what is it about vegetable gardens that people are interested in these days? I think it's a lot like the resurgence of baking sourdough bread, and that people really want a back to basics, sort of some primal satisfaction. I would say the most important reason people want vegetable gardens is obviously the food is much better. If you look at this, it's not the kind of thing you find in a store. Something just picked from your garden is absolutely going to be better tasting. You know where it comes from. You know there are no harmful sprays, anything like that on it. But I would say even more than the food itself is the experience. What we find is that so many people are really looking for something that is literally down to earth. They will say that they want to get their children involved, or they want to learn how to do themselves. And we can really tailor the experience to whatever it is, whatever level of involvement they would like to have. We can move to the next slide. Speaking of tailoring, each garden starts with a tailored design. So each client can say, here's what I want to grow, here's what I want to eat. And we will then take all that input, and again, professionalism, we put it into a plan that says specifically where, not just where everything goes, but grouping things by families so that crops can be rotated, making sure that common errors aren't made, like tall items shading the shorter items. Integrating the right flowers to attract beneficial insects, companion planting, and so on. And by doing all those things, we can also make sure that the garden is productive and beautiful for the whole season, from April 1st through the end of November. And one thing I should probably have said before is that the gardens themselves are beautiful architectural structures, raised beds, and they sort of give the lie to the old saying that, well, I would love a garden, but gardens are ugly. We really have worked hard to make sure that they're an enhancement to any landscape. We can move to the next slide. As I said, we've tried very hard to create a professional service here, and our employees are really not just trained to be very good at maintaining the garden, but also at maintaining the relationship with the client. As I said, it's a lot about the experience, and some people want to be very involved in the garden, or some people just want that harvest basket on their door once a week. What we can do is tailor our service to the specific interests and needs of each client, and essentially be ambassadors for this movement. Okay, last slide. What we've found is that I guess gardens are kind of the gateway drug into other back to basics activities, what we would call homesteading activities. And if you look from the upper left, this is my 12-year-old learning what goes on inside a beehive. So we can offer beekeeping to all our clients. The next slide, or the next picture, is a beautiful batch of shiitake mushrooms growing on logs that we inoculated at our farm. Something else people probably don't know that they can grow at home. Eva mentioned early on the interest in pollinators and incorporating wildflower gardens into landscapes. That's another thing that we've seen a huge surge in interest in. If you look at the big picture, berries, in this case strawberries, are always very popular. The problem is they're also very popular with squirrels and chipmunks. So we've figured out ways to protect them so that you can enjoy them rather than sharing them with all the wildlife. And then finally, something that's happening right now actually is tapping maple trees. I think a lot of people don't know that the maple trees in their yard will produce maple syrup every bit as delicious as that produced in Vermont. So we tap their trees, we bring their sap back, we do the hard work of boiling it, and then we give them back the syrup from their own sap with their own custom label. So, I guess the bottom line here, the main message is that this is all stuff that we just think is tremendously fun and rewarding. And we really want to spread it to the world by making a service that's professional, as accessible to everyone as possible. I think that's it.
Wonderful. So, okay, did you just say that we're tapping trees right now for maple syrup? Has it started?
We are. It should start to flow. Some people have tapped already, but I would say probably in the next week or so, we should see a lot of flow of sap.
How many trees? How many maple trees do you need to get?
It takes each tap produces about 10 gallons of sap in a year. So, but it takes 40 gallons of sap to produce 1 gallon of syrup. So 4 taps, if you had, 3 or 4 good sized maple trees, that would be enough to produce a gallon of syrup. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. We did that as a kid. I grew up in Vermont. We tapped our trees too. It was wonderful.
Great.
I do have a couple
of spring.
Yes. A couple other questions for you. Would you care to share your favorite source for unusual seeds?
Well, we do everything organically. So we buy mostly from Johnny's is a big one. There are actually several. It kind of depends on what kind of seeds we buy. Seed potatoes, for instance, from a source in Maine. So it varies quite a bit. It's actually been very difficult to get seeds in the last year. There was a huge run on vegetable seeds last spring because of the pandemic. And so they limited it to agriculture enterprises only, which luckily included us.
Great, excellent. Well, thank you. Okay, I want to thank everybody right now. We're right at 11. That was fantastic. There are some other questions if folks want to stay on for a little longer, specific to almost all of you, and especially ones that have been asked more than once. I'm going to go all the way back to Stu. What product is recommended to clean stainless steel appliances? I know you mentioned oil-based. Is Stu still on here?
That's Fred. That was Fred.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it Fred?
I'm here, but that's not for me.
Oh, excuse me, Fred.
The stuff that we use in the shop is called Stainless Steel Magic. And I think there's another product called Thor out there and another product called Twinkle. The key is to get them oil-based.
Great. Okay, excellent. That's what I thought. I just had the person wrong. We are seeing a lot in chat, if folks are following along, about porcelain stone, which Stu has been answering. Stu, do you want to say anything else about that? A follow-up to the questions you've been asked today?
Absolutely. I have to say that I've been selling stones all my life, and it was hard for me to transition to porcelain, to be honest with you. But porcelain does well. All the stuff that we love from natural stone, porcelain does it and does it better because they improve the product. You know, we don't have to be worried about staining, about weather changes, about the texture, about getting hot. So I would say that it's a really good product that is taking over during especially these times where production and product availability is a key, is crucial. So it's something that we are stocking and we're ready to provide.
Great, thank you. Now, let's see, we talked a little bit about animal control and pest control. Both John and Eva touched on that. Eva, I did get a question. Any trends that you're noting in landscape for color or specific plantings that you want to talk about a little bit?
I think with the color, we're seeing people being a little bit more independent now and not as concerned about what the neighbors think. And so we're getting more requests to tailor the color palette to more of their personal interest rather than worrying what the Joneses are up to. It's always popular, the blues, the whites, and the purples, kind of a really tranquil combination together in multiple shades of green. But when you have, especially people that are interested in the different types of pollinators, you know, bees are attracted to certain colors and butterflies to others. And some of those color palettes may be a little bolder than people are accustomed to. So that really depends on their interest in it.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I do want to share with everyone that we can provide contact info for all our panelists today, to those who attended. I'm seeing some really great specific questions come through. Let me see if I can get to anything else while we still have quite a few of you on. So thank you for sticking around. Oh, I have one. Stephen, the fire tables we were talking about, does that surround get hot and does that, what's the smallest space that a fire table could work in?
So the surface does not get hot. You can actually, and I've done it myself, you can actually reach in and actually touch the I don't know, suggest it, but you can touch the fire meter. So no,
I gotta get answers out.
The table does not get hot. We do provide and offer wind guards if it's in a windy area, especially when we have hospitality installations. We offer wind guards for the wind that blows it, but no, the surface of the ceramic does not get hot.
Okay, good to know. Good to know, someone who puts their feet up on things.
I know, good to go.
Okay, well, and we'll wrap it up now. I see lots of great questions coming in, but this will be up on our YouTube channel, and we will follow up with contact information so our attendees can contact each of our panelists today with any other questions they have. Thank you so much, everyone. I feel like we touched on so many of the elements of outdoor living, and I'm just so excited. I know there's snow coming tomorrow, but I'm ready to get out there with a fire table and a nice place to sit.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to our panelists too. I mean, you guys, I thought it was a tremendous job, and that everything segued beautifully. And I'm sure our attendees were very inspired and got a lot of great information. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.